Welcome back to RPTV Weekly News. I'm Thundercloud, and joining me today is Kedar, Fred, and Gabriel. Together we bring you updates on stories that directly impact Regent Park and surrounding areas, and where we bring you the latest updates on community initiatives shaping the future of the neighborhood.
In this episode, we delve into the latest news from June 4th to June 10th. Stay tuned for the latest updates and insights affecting our community. TCHC Progress Update. Regent Park demolition on track for summer 2024 completion. Regent Park community reacts to Doug Ford's controversial comments on immigrants. MPP for Toronto Centre Kristyn Wong-Tam denounces Ford's hurtful anti-immigrant comments. Toronto Police 51 Division holds quarterly meeting with Regent Park residents. March to stop gun violence. Regent Park stands together on National Day Against Gun Violence. Indigenous report. Grassy narrows First Nation files lawsuit over Mercury Contamination. Toronto launches HORE team to support vulnerable Yonge-Dundas residents. Toronto Public Health reports. Surge in opioid toxicity deaths, events and jobs in Regent Park community.
Toronto Community Housing announced significant progress in the demolition of Regent Park properties at 319, 325, and 355 Gerrard Street East and 274 Sackville Street. The project, which began in November of 2023, remains on schedule for the summer of 2024's completion. The demolition process, carefully managed by TCHC and its partners, prioritizes community safety and environmental sustainability. This crucial step marks an important milestone in the revitalization of Regent Park, paving the way for future development and enhanced living spaces in the final phases of the project. TCHC is transforming the area into a vibrant mixed-income, mixed-use community. Future RPTV updates will detail the progress towards new roads and the construction of the TCHC's next rental building as part of this city's building initiative.
Regent Park community reacts to Doug Ford's controversial comments on immigrants.
I got an idea. Before you plan on moving to Canada, don't come to Canada if you're going to start terrorizing neighborhoods.
Premier Doug Ford's recent comments accusing immigrants of coming to Canada to commit crimes have sparked outrage within communities across Ontario. In Regent Park, a diverse neighborhood in Toronto, residents have been particularly vocal in their disapproval. Many community members are immigrants or have close ties to immigrant communities, making Ford's remarks especially hurtful. To gauge the sentiment in Regent Park, RPTV hit the streets to gather opinions from residents. But before going to the streets today, we welcome John Salgan, aka MC Zlatan Z, a dynamic TV host from Nigeria, volunteering with Focused Media Arts Centre in Regent Park to share immigrant stories from across downtown East's core. Now, take it from here, Z.
Yeah, what up, people? My name is MC Zlatan, the Sensational, of course. And today we're going to be having a source of interview of different people talking about newcomers, talking about immigrants and all of that. And we'll have this controversial statement about what the Premier of Ontario said, Doug Ford, about the inputs or what the newcomers have contributed to Canada as a whole. So we have people's reaction if the statement was racial, if it was fair, and I feel like everyone has their take on this. And I want you guys to stay tuned and listen to people's comments. I'm ready to go. Are you ready? We're ready. Let's go.
I think immigrants have been great for the country and specifically for Toronto and Ontario. It's been amazing to be living in such a diverse city, so I think it's amazing.
Well, you heard that. She's so direct. It's so beautiful to hear something different from her. So there was this comment about the Premier of Ontario, and he said he was talking about immigrants. There was a shooting that happened at the Jewish school, and he came out to say publicly that he feels that the shooting was made by immigrants. And in quotes, he said, if you are coming to Canada with the mindset of committing crime, stay back at home, you know? So what do you think about that statement?
I think that's a terrible statement to make. It's an assumption and it's ignorant and it's terrible coming from our premier. It's not doing anything for the culture of the city, and it doesn't promote the multicultural that we do have in Regent Park specifically, so it's hard to hear.
Immigrant is coming is good, but we need to the job. You know, first time you created the job. If you can immigrant, it's no problem, but you must be created to the job. And one my opinion that every immigrant is coming that the city of Toronto or Montreal, some limited city, right?
Yeah.
But I think so. Government need to make some new policy. You can better to the other province. They can develop to the business or education and everything. So, you know, that is the most important thing because all people is coming in here. You see the population density in the Toronto, how much?
A lot of people.
Lot of.
I think that's an unjustified statement because that can only produce anti-immigrant sentiments, okay? And had it been a white person that shot someone, it would have been a non-issue. That wouldn't have been an issue. So, when you impose race or origin, ethnicity into the equation, of course, people, unfortunately, people do tend to generalize, and so it doesn't really help anyone either way. He didn't need to say that.
Before saying such a thing, I think people should investigate that better because, we never know. Anyone could have done that. So, before saying that, I think people should go deeper, So, that's not fair, just saying it if they are not sure about. So,
I really don't think immigrants are a bad thing. I think immigrants are an integral part of Canada and what Canada is today. Canada does have its own issues to deal with, I think. I cannot really say much. Can we accommodate all the immigrants that obviously we need to help people outside of Canada, but we also have a lot of issues to deal with. So I wouldn't say immigrants are a problem as much as, the not so fortunate people here that probably have to resort to, stealing or whatever it might be. So it wouldn't be just immigrants. You know what? I like Doug Ford. I don't know about the statement, but I mean, if he doesn't know who it is, then you can't just blame it on immigrants. Do some immigrants cause issues? I'm sure they do. So do some Canadians, right? So I think Canada has a bigger problem to deal with its poverty, or how do you address not so fortunate people, not just about immigrants, So I can't, I haven't heard about the comments, so I can't say much about it. But if he doesn't know who it is, then I don't know why he's making that statement.
MPP for Toronto Centre Kristyn Wong-Tam denounces Ford's anti-immigrant comments. Ontario Premier Doug Ford's comments blaming immigrants for recent crimes have sparked outrage. Opposition leaders have denounced his remarks and demanded an apology. MPP Kristyn Wong-Tam for Toronto Centre, speaking at the Ontario Legislature as a leader of the opposition, criticized the provincial government for lacking a comprehensive strategy to combat hate and called on Ford to stop his scapegoating of immigrants.
Conservatives form government, Ontario still doesn't have a strategy to address hate and racism. This is an embarrassment and another failure on this government's tarnished record. Not only does Ontario lack a comprehensive anti-hate strategy, but we also have a premier who evokes of racist tropes from behind a government podium. Just last week, without any evidence, the premier speculated that immigrants are behind the shooting at a girls' Jewish school. It is a shockingly racist comment to scapegoat immigrants for this senseless act. The police who are actually investigating the crime had to distance themselves from the premier's comments. This is the same premier who blamed COVID-19 on immigrants. He blames Ontario's housing crisis on international students. The same premier who vilified Umar Zamir and called for the jailing of this brown Muslim man who is now found innocent by the courts. The Premier has denied the existence of systemic racism and cancelled Ontario's anti-racism directorate, including its committees on anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-black racism, and anti-Indigenous racism. It seems like the Premier could use the Directorate's advice now more than ever before. Ontario cannot combat racism if this Premier does not recognize that it exists. Naming it is the first step to dismantling this hateful power. I feel like I have to say this every day in this House. All forms of hate are interconnected and have the same goal: to divide us people, to make us afraid, to have us untrust each other, and to distract us from building stronger communities that actually care for each other. Ontario needs a comprehensive anti-hate strategy. It's important work. Get it done. Thank you.
Toronto Police 51 Division holds quarterly meeting with Regent Park residents. On June 3rd, Toronto Police Services held their quarterly community meeting with Regent Park residents, offering a crucial platform for dialogue and updates on community safety. Hosted at 150 River Street by neighborhood police officers from 51 Division, Constables Farzad Gotbi and Mercia Bigya, and Sergeant Jeremy Boyko, the event brought together police representatives, community leaders, and numerous residents. The meeting was an opportunity for residents to meet their neighborhood community officers, receive updates on critical incidents, and ask questions. Officers presented the Crime Stats Report, which revealed a rise in major crime indicators from January 1st to May 27, 2024, compared to the same period in 2023. Notably, assaults increased from 52 to 68, auto thefts rose from 10 to 12, and homicides went from 0 to 1. Other crimes, including robbery, sexual violations, and theft, also saw increases. In addition to discussing crime statistics, the meeting featured a special representation from Toronto Crime Stoppers. Representatives explained their role in preventing and reducing crime by partnering with the community, law enforcement, and the media. They emphasized the importance of anonymity for anyone providing information that could lead to arrests. Throughout the event, community members participated by sharing their experiences and perspectives. The meeting served as a vital touchpoint in the ongoing effort to improve safety and build stronger connections between Toronto Police Services and Regent Park residents.
We'll start with our PowerPoint. What we're going to do is we're going to go over some of our crime stats that we've had in the past year to just talk about what's happened in Regent Park. And then followed by that, we can do some Q&A, and then follow that, we can do our Crime Stopper presentation.
I'm going to talk a little bit about stats here. As you can see on the display, it's not much to say. Pretty much every major indicator saw an increase since last year, except break and enter. Especially robbery and assault, there has like a great increase. The good thing about that is that we're able to arrest a lot of people who committed some of these offenses. What I want to talk about is the last couple of months. Unfortunately, we had two major incidents in Regent Park, namely two shootings. One was solved very quickly. We were able to apprehend the criminal minutes after it happened, and it was more of a domestic in nature. It was a family situation. However, the last one we had a few days ago at Sackville and Oak, for that one again, we were able to arrest one of the parties involved. There was a group of people that were hanging in the area of Oak and Sackville. One person came with a gun and started shooting at the group. They returned fire. We were able to arrest the person that started the gunfire. He's known to the police. I can't go into details, but he's a resident of Regent Park. However, the other people that returned fire, obviously they had guns on them. They were not identified yet. We're still working on it. We have pretty good information about, like, facial videos and all that, right? I can tell you a lot of these incidents are gang-related. There's a lot of, flexing muscles between gangs from different parts of the city, coming and showing a presence in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, we can't prevent everything, but what I can tell you, since we have this program, we have one police car 24/7 dedicated to Regent Park, which no other neighborhood in 51 Division has that. We were able to prevent a lot of violence. As a matter of fact, the last shooting that happened, the car that was dedicated to Regent Park, they were on their lunch break at the station when this happened. So that goes to show when police is present in the neighborhood, usually violent crime doesn't happen, namely shootings and stuff like that. But that goes to show how many people carry guns, That's a little bit disturbing, I'm a little bit surprised that we don't have more people coming to this meeting because we really have advertised it this time, all the condominiums, all the Toronto Community Housing buildings. We had a lot of concerns lately in relation to e-scooters. We had, especially during the Victoria weekend, and we're anticipating during Canada Day, there's going to be the same. A lot of young people on e-scooters going around the neighborhood or on foot shooting fireworks at each other. We were able to investigate quite a few of these kids involved in this incident. What we are asking from the community members, if you see a car stopping and selling fireworks to these kids, please let us know. From a distance, try to take some photos of the license plate, call police, because to my knowledge, children cannot purchase fireworks in Toronto, right? So there are people, there are adults going to these stores, buying fireworks, and then coming and selling them to the young kids who are using them, right? And obviously, as everybody knows, even if there's a holiday, these fireworks can only be used by adults. In certain areas, they're mandated by the city. It's not anywhere you want. Accidents can happen, and a lot of people are distraught and they're upset about the fireworks being used. What I can tell you, what we predicted, I'll answer your question in a few minutes. What we've been talking about these e-scooters for the longest time is that there was not enough legislative ground for us to enforce them. Therefore, everybody's using them. There's no rhyme or reason. Small kids, adults, no helmets, on the sidewalks, on the road, going fast. So we've been talking and we've been saying, we're surprised that we don't have more accidents involving these e-scooters, right? They are happening. So what we started, at least me and Farzad for the last couple weeks, we are starting now to enforce. We did a lot of digging, talking to traffic services to give us the legislation. Obviously, under the Highway Traffic Act, we can enforce certain rules of the road, but there's also, we were able to find a couple bylaws that give us grounds to start investigating and stopping these kids now. So I'll tell you a little story. I'm not going to get into details, but a couple of days ago, we stopped one of these kids that we know he's been getting in trouble. He's very young, doing the same thing over the turf at Nelson Mandela. We stopped him, and as you know, now everybody's being recorded. When you have a police interaction, the camera's on, audio and video, right? So it's no more 5 years ago, 10 years ago, oh, police said this, oh, that person said that. No, everything is recorded, so there's no more going around the bushes, right? So this kid goes home, we're concerned for his safety. He doesn't have a helmet, he goes over the turf, the school spend money, for that, field to be used for soccer and whatnot. So we had a very nice chat, but we told him, listen, this can happen. If you fall and you hit your head, you can get brain damage, or you can even die. If you damage the grass, the school might get you in trouble. He goes home and calls the mom. Mom calls us and starts reporting, why you guys surrounded my kid? You did this, you did that, right? So obviously that's something that we have to address. But I have to tell you, this is the reaction we're going to start getting, and we anticipated that that's going to happen because, when you don't have strict rules, and that's why hopefully this is one moment when we can start educating people about the rules of the road. Like obviously, just like any bicycle, you cannot have an e-scooter if you're under 16 without a helmet. You cannot ride on the sidewalk. Basically in Ontario, to our knowledge, e-scooters should be only used on private property, right? But no one is enforcing it yet. However, because a lot of kids in the neighborhood, they're using them to commit this little mischief and little crimes, we have to start stopping people and enforcing it. Because, that's again, our trying to be proactive, but also listening to the concerns from the community.
Without further ado, Detective Maramuto, I know he's pressed for time. It took us over a year to have him here because he's very, very busy. He runs a very difficult organization he has that, it's not a thing that, that anyone can do, but he's taken his time to come here and give us, even ourselves, that education piece for Crime Stoppers.
So how does this program work? I said you can call in or you can put in a web tip. If you were to call in, we have designated call takers that will pick up the phone. If you were to call right now, they'll pick up the phone. They will not ask you for your name, a phone number, an address, no identifiers. If they ask you for that, hang up the phone. Okay? When you call in, your number is blanked out. It's protected. And I can tell you that because I myself, joining this program, I visited the call center. I will never, or the team will never, risk anyone's safety for the sake of a charge or an arrest. There's always another way to find out who did it. You just got to work a little harder. But from us, we will never sacrifice anyone's safety for the sake of an arrest. When you qualify for the program, anonymity is guaranteed. I already told you. With the BOLO program, you saw the numbers, how many persons were arrested, how many people utilized the program. Those individuals, their anonymity was guaranteed. They never had to testify. No one knows who they are. You're the only one that knows that you submitted that information. Some of the other things that we've seen that we would like to go citywide with, because of the shootings, the Northwest Corridor, a few years ago, was experiencing a high volume of shootings. We would like to bring some street signs, like the 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. High visibility within our community. I'd like to see this go citywide in our busy areas to remind our residents that guess what? It's not just a non-emergency, an emergency line. You do have an option if you want to use it. No one's telling you that you have to use the program, but do remember, it's there as an option for you.
March against gun violence. Regent Park stands together on National Day Against Gun Violence on June the 7th, 2024. The streets of Regent Park resonated with powerful chants like "Stop the Violence," "End gun violence," and "Enough is enough," as residents, especially the youth, gathered for a community rally against gun violence. This significant event marked the National Day Against Gun Violence, emphasizing the urgent need to address this critical issue in the neighborhood. The event was organized by Mothers of Peace of Regent Park, Senkofa, Center of Learning of Development, and Zero Gun Violence Movement. The rally began with a march throughout Regent Park, showcasing solidarity and determination to put an end to gun violence. Participants wore t-shirts with "Stop the Gun Violence," creating a powerful visual statement of the resolve. Following the march, attendees gathered at 540 Dundas Street East for a series of wellness workshops, performances, and activities.
End gun violence!
RPTV reporter Lawrence Rodriguez and I, Kedar Ahmed, joined the rally, capturing the essence of the event and the voices of those advocating for change. The presence of the community media highlighted the importance of raising awareness and fostering dialogue around gun violence and its impact on Regent Park.
Hi, my name is Kedar Ahmed and I'm here with
Robinson Osoro.
Robinson Osoro. You want to tell me a little bit about what we're doing here today and what we're fighting for today?
Yes, it's a National Gun Violence Day, and I think it's really good that we get out there and send the message that we should not use guns to kill each other. Many young men have died in this place because of the gun violence that's usually going on, and the crime levels are high. So it's good for me to be part of this community and to be part of this work, so that we send the message out clear and educate the young ones that don't use guns to kill each other. Find good activities to do. Like guns are not meant for youths to kill each other. Yeah, so that's the information. We are sending that message to the community, the elderly, the young. Let us live in harmony, like no more war. No, yeah. Like I've seen mothers crying, like they have lost their sons. Yeah. So it's really not good to see young guys dying at a young age because of gun violence. No, it's a bad thing, and hopefully we are gonna send the message out, and people are gonna understand it and live in harmony and peacefully. That's the message from me today. Yes.
You know what? I believe it's a very important message, and I'm glad that we're having this march through the Regent Park community, because we do lose a lot of sons over here, and there has been a lot of mothers going through trauma and tragedy over here. So we need to have more events like this. So thank you so much for being a part of the march.
Welcome. Thank you so much also for talking to me and for giving me the opportunity to send out a good message out, like no more to gun violence, no more.
No more silence! No more silence! And gun violence! And gun violence! No more silence!
No more silence and gun violence! Why do you think a day like today is important, especially for a community like Regent Park that a lot of tragedy has happened to?
Yeah, I mean, I like having a national day for us to come together to mark the occasion, to remember those who have fallen, the loved ones that we have lost, but also to double and triple our resolve to do everything we can to make sure that violence, and especially gun violence, doesn't take another loved family member. As a member of provincial parliament, I have responsibility to stand with my community when they gather and call for support, for services, and to take their stories back to me to Queen's Park to amplify their voice. And that's why I'm here today.
I know today is National Day of Gun Violence, but how do we double down on it and try to bring more attention to it outside of it just being one day?
Well, I mean, one day is important, but it should never be the only day. I know that work happens throughout the year in Regent Park, making sure that our communities have the investment they need, investing in the young people as early as possible with recreation programs, by making sure that families are supported with affordable housing so that they don't have to struggle as deeply as they do. Addressing the root causes of violence is the best way of preventing violence overall. And I've often said that the social determinants of health, which includes access to education, access to housing, affordable, nutritious food, access to a life that's free of discrimination, are also the same social determinants of safety. So the social determinants of health are exactly the same as the social determinants of safety. We want to keep all guns, illegal handguns and all handguns, to be quite honest, off our streets. This is something that we have to speak out very loudly against. We do see violence take place in communities, but when gun violence drips through a community, it has a very devastating and shattering effect. So we need governments to be stronger with legislation when it comes to gun control. We need the laws to work to make sure that illegal handguns are kept off the street. But most importantly, above everything else, we need to invest deeply in our communities, because addressing the root causes of violence is going to save us much more when someone is prevented from actually shooting the gun, obtaining the gun from the get-go. Yesterday we tabled legislation at Queen's Park that called on the Ministry of the Attorney General to develop a litigation plan specifically to hold gun manufacturers and dealers responsible for the proliferation of illegal handguns that we see in Canada. Over 70% of handguns obtained have been determined to be illegal handguns. So that legislation forcing Minister Doug Downey to develop a litigation plan will hopefully be able to support the same type of litigation that is underway with the government of Mexico, because they also recognize that the problem that exists in their country, in their neighborhoods, in their communities and cities is the illegal guns that keep creeping into their country. So we've got the same problem here. And
that legislation passed?
No, it was tabled yesterday. Yeah, so you will be hearing more about that, because just like we took, just like the tobacco manufacturers that was targeting children, that was advertising aggressively to adults, there was a cost and burden on the healthcare system, and the courts have ruled that tobacco manufacturers and cigarette manufacturers had a responsibility. So we're now following in the same line of thinking, is that we want to be able to develop a litigation plan. I want the Ford government to take this seriously. We have to keep the guns off our streets, and if the dealers as well as the gun manufacturers are deliberately producing guns and flooding our communities with illegal handguns, they start off as legal, but they become illegal once they're in the hands of someone who doesn't have the license, or there's produced or they're stolen, or they're retraded and resold, then they become illegal handguns. And they have not been as strict with their controls as they need to be. And Mexico has 2 lawsuits right now specifically addressing this issue. I think Canada should follow suit.
Indigenous report. Grassy Narrows First Nation flies lawsuit over mercury contamination. The Grassy Narrows First Nation in northwestern Ontario has filed a lawsuit against the provincial and federal governments for failing to protect its treaty rights amidst decades-long mercury contamination. Filed in Ontario's Superior Court, the lawsuit claims government negligence under Treaty 3, leading to severe mercury poisoning among community members, including Chief Rudy Turtle. The contamination stems from a paper mill in Dryden that dumped 9 tons of mercury into the English Wabigoon River system during the 1960s and 70s. Approximately 90% of Grassy Narrows population shows symptoms of mercury poisoning, including tremors, insomnia, and cognitive dysfunction. With fewer than 1,000 residents, the community faces ongoing health and environmental challenges. Last year, the federal government committed to building a $68.9 million mercury treatment facility.
Grassy Narrows has suffered mercury poisoning for over 50 years.
Following a press conference, the Grassy Narrows delegation marched to Queen's Park to deliver their statement of claim to Premier Doug Ford, but were denied entry. Ontario NDP leader Merritt Stiles accepted the statement, promising to deliver it to Ford.
They are living through one of Canada's worst environmental and human rights catastrophes. They are now suing Ontario and Canada. Judy De Silva, a grandmother from Grassy Narrows, has a simple ask, which I'm going to read out today to the government. She says this: stop poisoning us. Let us protect our land and our people, and we will be healthy again. So my question to the Premier is, will this government stop the ongoing poisoning of the people of Grassy Narrows today?
Chief Rudy Turtle also participated in unveiling a 75-meter-long keffiyeh at the Ontario Legislature, symbolizing over 15,000 Palestinian children and healthcare workers lost in Israel, Hamas conflict since October 7, 2023. This demonstration highlighted the interconnected struggles against environmental and social injustices. RPT reporter Fred Alvarado captured these pivotal moments, showcasing Chief Turtle's powerful speech and the community's unwavering demand for accountability and action. Stay tuned for an exclusive interview with Chief Rudy Turtle for deeper insights into this critical issue.
My name is Rudy Turtle. I'm the Chief of Grassy Narrows. We came to Queen's Park today to serve a statement of claim against Ontario and Canada, and it's regarding the mercury poisoning that continues to take place in our river system. We are heading into litigation, and it's going to be a long process, and we'll just have to wait and see the outcome. Grassy Narrows continues to be polluted by mercury on the river system. Also, there was a recent study that was released from scientists, and they found effluents were still being dumped into the river, making the mercury more toxic in the water. But it's been years since they discovered mercury, and there's been a lot of damage to the health of our people, and that's why we're going to court. Well, we want people to know. We want not just Toronto to know, but the whole world to know. And we've been doing that for several years now. And this mercury poisoning in our river system, in our community, it has to stop. It can't continue on. And we won't allow it to continue on. Something has to be done.
We are here with Grassy Narrows, who are also demanding for justice here on Turtle Island, because there is settler colonialism and genocide here as well. So our liberation is intertwined. We know very well as Palestinians that the same settler colonialism that is happening in Palestine has been happening here. So I'm going to invite Grassy Narrows leader to speak right now.
Justice for Grassy Narrows!
Justice for Grassy Narrows!
Justice for Grassy Narrows!
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to say a few words. As some of you may have heard, we've been here all day. We have made a statement of claim against Canada and against Ontario for the poisoning of our river system. Mercury Grassy Narrows has suffered mercury poisoning for over 50 years. But that's not the only thing we've suffered. We've suffered the ordeal of being put in residential schools. We've been put through the suffering of our oppressors trying to take away our language and our culture. They have tried to make us into a different people that we are not. And they also have put us in these small places, what they call reservations, and they took over the rest of our lands. And all these practices of oppression and colonization we have suffered for over 200 years now, and we still continue to suffer that today. It hasn't changed. Canada continues and Ontario continue to practice their ways of taking our lands and poisoning our lands, and frankly we are tired of it. This is not right to be displaced from your own land. And when I talk about that, I understand what you're protesting, because we are being treated the same way. We are being displaced. Another people have taken over our land where we no longer are the owners of our land. And so now they're poisoning our river system, they're taking away our resources, they're bringing in a nuclear waste disposal to our land. That nuclear disposal should stay where they made it, and they shouldn't bring it to our land.
Toronto Public Health reports surge in opioid toxicity deaths. Toronto Public Health, TPH, has released preliminary 2023 data revealing a significant increase in opioid toxicity deaths in the city. In 2023, 523 deaths were reported, a 74% rise from 2019's 301 deaths. The crisis exacerbated during COVID-19 pandemic continues to plague the downtown East area, an epicenter of the drug toxicity crisis.
Toronto launches horror team to support vulnerable Yonge-Dundas residents. Toronto has launched a new initiative, the Downtown Community Outreach Response and Engagement horror team, aimed at supporting vulnerable individuals in the Yonge-Dundas area. This one-year pilot program, led by Toronto Public Health and supported by police, will provide outreach on substance use, mental health, and housing needs. It aims to connect people with vital social and health services while ensuring safety. With Toronto facing housing challenges and an opioid crisis, the core team fills a crucial gap in community support.
And now for events and jobs in Regent Park community. Are you a passionate artist looking to showcase your work to the community? Do you want to network with fellow tenants, community partners, and corporate donors? We're seeking talented artists to show off their art and join us at the Investing in Our Diversity Scholarships Gala on Wednesday, June the 26th at 150 River Street. Please apply today. Children's Book Bank in Regent Park offers free books for kids. All children and families are welcome. Regent Park's Community Safety Network invites you to join the Community Buddies Safety Walks every Wednesday at 8 p.m. at the Bake Oven. If you have questions, please contact Lennon Schwartz at 416-845-5994. Toronto Community Housing, our spaces, your ideas. Tenants can book a TCHC common space for community events or programs. Types of bookings include private events, one-time bookings, recurring events. For more information, please contact Felicia White at 416-356-7603. And thank you for watching RPTV News. My co-hosts for today are Thundercloud, Fred, and Gabriel. And I also want to thank our team of researchers that contributed to this week's work.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.